Africa. It can seem like a world apart. Most people only know the romantic version from adventure stories, books and film. A land filled with exotic animals where people live simple lives and nature is always close at hand. My Kenya is a different Africa. The reality isn't painted in broad strokes. It is a land of contrasting colours where the desire for progress fights the need to protect heritage, where wild nature collides with concrete, glass and steel, where power, money and greed push the lines that separate us from the animals. My name is Guy Coombs. I am an artist and conservationist. My art and my activism focus on one place, the place I will always think of as home, Soysambu Conservancy, Kenya. Soysambu stands on the front line, where the battle between nature and humanity goes on daily. A lack of water makes the cattle industry the only viable way to farm the land, but local wildlife can conflict with that lifestyle. Meanwhile, valuable tourism dollars rely on the wildlife, but managing that wildlife within a limited geographical footprint creates its own unique pressures. The advance of humankind has impacted every corner of the globe, and remaining pockets of wilderness do not exist in a vacuum. While people constitute the biggest threat to wildlife, it is also people who form the thin line between the last remaining wildernesses and an increasingly modern world. People who can make a stand for places like Soysambu. What keeps them going is pride. Pride in this land, pride in what they do, and a pride of lions. So Soysambu Conservancy is it's a 48,000 acre ranch that was settled by Lord Delamere in the late 1800s and until 2007 was exclusively run as a cattle ranch, but there was a very high density of wildlife within Soysambu, as much as there is in Lake Nakuru National Park, which is right next door. And so a decision was made to officially make it a conservancy in 2007, and so since then we've been running it as a conservancy and as a cattle ranch, and the two are symbiotic in many ways, and what we're trying to be is an example to a lot of other conservancies in the country where you know, we're dealing with the threat of development, but also, you know, the increasing benefits of tourism, and so, you know, we're trying to make it so that Soysambu is sustainable through tourism and through international interest in the ecology and through the benefits that that then makes to the surrounding community that is growing at an exponential rate. For over 3 generations, there have been no lions here. Lions became a thing of legend, fable, and fear. When the lions returned, we were faced with a horrible choice: lose the farms and the people, or lose the lions. Neither was an acceptable solution. To understand the challenges that this land faces, you need to meet the people that live here. I'm starting with a visit with my friend, author and historian Juliet Barnes, to try and understand the profound connection we have to this place. I first met Juliet in 2001. She'd just moved here because she just kind of wanted to get away from Nairobi, and Juliet is a writer, and so we had a good connection straight away.
The thing is that when I first came to live here 20 years ago, we walked and cycled, the kids and I, all over the place, and there was the occasional lion passing through, but there weren't any resident lion. There were much fewer buffalo. But yeah, those sort of incidents were few and far between. Now we've got to be a lot more aware when we're walking, and God, I mean, when it's dry, there are buffalo all around here, and they're coming to the waterhole at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the lions.
So yeah, how do you kind of that whenever I leave and whenever I arrive, I get very emotional. But obviously you do that a lot more than I do. So, but how do you kind of feel? I mean, Soysambu's, you know, it's such a special place.
It is. It's so unique, and it's the only place really left in the Rift Valley that's like this, and it's so important to protect it. The only one that's not a national park. It's so crucial. Oh, it's so special. And
Yeah.
you drive off that ghastly tarmac road, and you just think, oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
And it's harsh with all its dust and its droughts and its extreme weather conditions, but it is just so beautiful.
But
and
it's
so
peaceful.
Special.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a special vibe
Yeah.
about it. It really has. It's interesting, on the whole, you don't hear anything when the lions are attacking. But sometimes, I mean, just occasionally, I woke up one night and there was a lion right here at the corner of the plot,
Really?
roaring, and it was unbelievably loud.
Really?
It was such a thrilling sound. I love it.
Yeah, must
Oh.
have been amazing.
God, it just absolutely...
It's all right when you're in your hut.
Yes. Yes. Well, I got home one day and the lions were right here in the middle of the afternoon, earlier than this. And Easter, my donkey, who's never seen a lion in her life, was just standing there staring at
Oh
me.
no!
I know.
Were they staring back at her?
Well, they were staring at her and wondering why she wasn't running away. And she's lame anyway, lame and old, and has never seen a lion, so she just stood there and stared at them.
For
It
sure.
sinks deep into your soul, doesn't it?
Mm.
I do love Soysambu dearly.
But the people are only part of the equation. The animals are in need of constant and unending protection, sadly, for the most part from us. I am stopping for a short visit with my friend Simon Tomsit to talk about the raptor sanctuary he has founded here on the Conservancy. Amidst the ceaseless march of progress, sanctuaries like this one, which lies in the path of one of the greatest migratory flyways in East Africa, are more essential than ever. Just basically start off with what brought you to Soysambu?
Well, you can't beat a big soda lake in the middle of the Rift Valley with volcanoes, open plains, forests, different kinds of forests.
Yeah.
This little forest in here. As a group, we rehabilitate birds of prey. I've had over 3,500 of them, so it's a lot. The idea is that we have a place that's closer to the town in Navasha. We can't really release them there because there's too many problems, like, you know, highways, power lines, and too many people. So we take them into the bush, into a conservancy. And this is by far the best anywhere really within the Central Rift Valley. Really, we keep sort of despairing every 10 years or so because there's sort of a massive, great big change ecologically. And one of the important things about being interested in birds of prey is that they are good indicator species of habitat health. It rolls off the tongue easy. But I mean, you look at something like lions or elephants or what have you, you simply put up a fence and, you know, okay, things fine. But birds of prey, they don't really, you know, respect fences.
Yeah.
And if there's poisons being spread around, or if there's a general sort of human attitude of persecution or anti-wildlife, it's felt deep within those protected areas. I think at a national level we're not really understanding it. We're putting in these power lines, we're putting in roads that bisect them, we're putting in areas which are sort of rather obviously separating the land. Kenya's suffering from an identity crisis. You know, we step on our national carrier and we see everything in slow motion of Moran jumping on the spot and lions pushing into the wind and, you know, wonderful sort of, you know, Mozart music, and we're all brought to tears. It sounds like the sort of the Wyoming, Kenya and Wyoming. It sounds similar, doesn't it? You don't want to have Wyoming just covered in industrial plots and pumping out, you know, black smoke.
Oh, let me tell you, if people from Wyoming saw what was happening here, and I mean, they'd all want to help. Living alongside a diversity of wildlife on a daily basis requires vigilance, sensitivity, and common sense. But the real problem has always been conflict with predators. This morning, we've woken up with the dawn to see hyenas, bat-eared foxes and jackals emerge from their dens. Already here is my friend Rowena White. She's hard at work studying the predators here and knows their movements and their meals better than most.
Alexa is the one still lying up the top. And Alexa is the boss, which is why I've called her Alexa. She knows everything.
Yeah.
She has one cub where she was lying first in the top den. And Kendra has just left.
Yeah.
And you've seen her with her cub. So she's got 2 cubs in there. And then there were 3 other females. Plenty of jackal. 3 other females.
Yeah.
And then, did you see the commotion with the
no.
water buck? You just don't know what's going to happen because they all start turning up. And the view, they can see whatever they want to eat.
Yeah.
They look as though they've had something big to eat.
Yeah, they're
all
fat,
very,
aren't they?
very fat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen the bat-eared foxes at all?
There are 5 just up here,
Really?
just at the top. Protect the cattle from the hyenas as well. Yeah. Because, like the lions, if the cattle are out at night, as soon as they start calling, that attracts both lions and hyenas, and it's a death sentence for the cow.
But how do we protect the lions? They need to eat, and domestic cattle make much easier prey than zebra, gazelle and buffalo. But how do you convince a lion to stalk its natural prey and leave the livestock alone? When the lions first came here from Nakuru, they obviously, one of the first things they started doing was killing cattle. And so we obviously had to start thinking pretty fast about how we were going to deal with that, what the solutions were going to be in that situation. And there are a number of other conservancies in Kenya who have already been using the same kind of system of mobile bomas. Long used by the Maasai, a traditional boma is a stationary circle of brambles in which tightly packed cattle can be protected from lions. The concept seems simple, but how could we adapt this ancient technology to work for today's modern farming industry? Could it protect the cattle and in turn protect the pride? We're out at some of the bomas. This area here is called Joli. That's Joli. It's a Maasai name for this area, and it's a place where there's some really good cattle pasture, but there's also a lot of predator activity here. So we've got here just in time to see the herdsman release the cattle. Hello. So you can see like they're all very tightly packed in, and the reason for that is when a predator comes close, the cattle obviously will panic. They'll know the predator's there, but if they're looser within the boma, they're more likely to injure each other, and they're more likely to injure the boma as well. The reason that we need to have these bomas is so that we can have the lions at Soysambu. Nakwishaona simba hapa karibu. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just kind of repeating what we've kind of learnt already, that these bomas are working really well. He says the lions frequently hang out over there on July Hill, and they come close, but they don't get into the bomas and the cattle are kept safe. This is Johnny and Benson. Johnny is the farm manager and Benson is in charge of building and maintaining the bomas. This is the boma workshop, and right now they're constructing a new boma. So the bomas are made from these big steel rods. Basically they put these rods into the bending machine and make these gates, weld them all together, and you can see how the gates are all have like brackets so that you can join them together. They stake the poles into the ground and then they join the gates all together and create an enclosure which they call a boma.
And it has helped us a lot. It has reduced the conflict between us and the wildlife.
Right.
Because previously the wild animals used to predate on our livestock.
Yeah.
And they used to kill a huge number.
Communities for thousands of years have raised cattle with wildlife.
Yeah.
And now that we're slightly more concentrated, you have to adapt to it, and that's what we're doing.
And we've got better technology.
Better technology, and it works.
And since the bomas started coming in and we started constructing the bomas, the predation has gone down.
Yeah.
And it's almost to zero. There are times we used to lose like 50, 60 animals in a month. Mm-hmm. Like now we have only lost two in 3 months.
Wow. And also, you know, it gives some people jobs.
Yes, it gives also people jobs, and also it reduces the impact of the conflict. Reduces by a huge margin, because you don't get. We used to wake up like 4-10 times in a night, just to frighten the lions away from the cattle bomas. Yeah. But now it's not happening anymore.
Right.
I think you probably heard already that we've got, just about half our cattle are now inside protected group bomas, which is a milestone.
Yeah.
And you know, our cattle are increasing. We now have 7,000 head of cattle here, which are still our biggest revenue stream.
Right. And so how does everyone on Soysambu feel? Because I know like we're protecting the cattle now, but how do people feel about the lions being here now? Because I know it's difficult because you know you can't walk to places and stuff like that. Are people becoming used to the lions being around?
People are getting used to the lions being around. They are more positive about the lions than they were when the lions were feeding on the cattle.
Yeah.
Because they were feeling stressed. They are being overworked, waking up 3-4 times in a night, and also you are going to work during the day.
Yeah.
Just to go and chase the lions away from the cows. Mm-hmm. They used to stress people much.
Yeah.
So much. So right now the people are so positive about the lions.
Good.
They are helping hugely, and agreed some of the lion have moved off us, but those that are here I think are getting more and more used to the fact that they can't get in and they're not hassling their cattle. Yeah. And the answers are there. From 1 a day it might be 3 a month. Yeah. So the lion, you know, they're no longer public enemy number 1.
To understand the issues at hand, you need to talk to one person. Standing guard over this land is a woman I am proud to call my stepmother, Kat Coombs.
I think we've really been able to market and produce a branding for Soysambu as a wildlife conservancy. We've been part of the Kenya Wildlife Conservancies Association since it began. And now we're really building on that as part of being a destination for people to come visit and learn about our conservation programs and what we're trying to do here to preserve the land, provide employment for people, and conserve endangered species.
Yeah. So in terms of the challenges, what are the biggest challenges that we're kind of facing at the moment? I know funding is probably one of those, yeah.
Where do I start? I think also one of the big challenges is educating people about what wildlife conservation is and the importance of protecting large areas of habitat for wildlife to have a home that they can breed, so that we have an opportunity to protect and preserve a huge part of Kenya. Well, this is quite a large place. For the future of Kenya and for young school children to appreciate what's here right now. We employ a lot of people from our local communities, as herders, as workers, you know, the teachers. A lot of the people that are on Soysambu actually are from our local communities. So hopefully they can see what we're doing here and bring that message back.
I've heard from a lot of people that we've spoken to that the attitudes towards the lions being here has changed for the better, for the most part. Would you agree with that? Do you think people are more relaxed about it?
Yeah, they're more relaxed about it. It's not such this unknown thing. They thought lions coming on here, people were gonna be attacked and all kinds of terrible things.
Yeah.
But I think people are used to the lions being here with the new predator-proof bomas that has completely changed people's attitude about the lions, and we're able to protect the livestock. We still have problems where we need to do probably another 30 bomas, you know, with the herd size increasing and everything. So we're on our way to that. Still can improve on that. But yeah, I think people's attitude towards the lions has all calmed down a bit, and it's great for tourism.
Each dawn brings its own difficulties and challenges, but facing them head-on is a new generation of dreamers, men and women committed to finding common ground with their wild neighbours. Maya Angelou said, "The ache for home lives in all of us. Soysambu is my home, a place where lions dare to tread and humans dare to protect their wildlife, their land, and their traditions in a changing world." To quote from my father's book, "I too have sensations of déjà vu, especially when I'm alone on the sweeping plains of the Serengeti or down in Olduvai Gorge where early man once lived. It is as if this is not my first experience of Africa, that I have known these places somewhere in the past. It is like coming home." Having you guys here, you've all helped with 2 of these bomas already. This will all help with more bomas, and you also want to help our school program. And you look at this huge place and you wonder why we need any help, but we really need help all the time, and especially with these bomas. And we saw the lions today in Nakuru. We want to be able to have people coming to Soysambu and seeing lions just like that. It's really it means a lot.
It means the world.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kai. Thank all of you.